Odysseus. The name alone conjures images of epic sagas, cunning plans, and encounters with gods and monsters. His exploits in the Iliad and Odyssey are legendary. But what about before the Trojan War? Who was Odysseus before he became the epic hero we know today? Let's unravel the threads of his earlier life and uncover the foundation of the man destined to become one of Greek literature's most legendary figures. Let's start at the very beginning. Odysseus' story begins with his birth on the island of Ithaca. Ithaca wasn't a grand or wealthy kingdom. It was a small, relatively isolated and rocky island in the Ionian Sea. But this environment shaped Odysseus into a practical, resourceful leader. His father, Laertes, was the king of Ithaca, and his mother, Anticlea, was the daughter of Autolycus, a notorious trickster and thief said to be a son of Hermes, the god of cunning and wit. Their relationship seems to have been loving, with Anticlea passing on her wisdom to Odysseus, while Laertes, a practical and determined ruler, likely instilled in him values of leadership and resourcefulness. However, there's a twist. Some versions of the myth suggest that Odysseus's real father might have been Sisyphus, the infamous trickster condemned to roll a boulder uphill for eternity. Odysseus had a younger sister named Timene, who married a man named Eurylochus from the island of Samos near Ithaca. Eurylochus wasn't just Odysseus's brother-in-law. He also served as one of his captains during the long journey home after the Trojan War. It's clear that Odysseus had strong family ties, but sadly, things didn't end well for Eurylochus. Which, spoiler alert, after the crew angered the gods, Zeus sent a terrible storm. The ship was wrecked, and Eurylochus and the others didn't survive. Only Odysseus made it out alive to continue his incredible adventure. Odysseus' name itself is significant. According to Homer, he was named by his grandfather, Autolycus, who later ancient authors made Hermes' son. Odysseus' name means the one who causes pain, or the hated one, foreshadowing the suffering he would endure and inflict, both on himself and others. Even as a baby, it seems fate had already set him on a course of trials and triumphs. One of the earliest tales about Odysseus comes from his youth, during a boar hunt on Mount Parnassus, a mountain in central Greece sacred to Apollo, the god of archery, music, and dance, as well as truth, prophecy, healing, and the sun, and to the Muses, 9 goddesses who inspired the arts, science, and literature. Accompanied by his uncles, the sons of Autolycus, young Odysseus proved his bravery by facing a wild boar. But bravery came at a cost. The boar gored him in the thigh, leaving a scar that would become a defining feature. This scar plays a pivotal role later in the Odyssey, when his wet nurse, Euryclea, recognizes him by it. This recognition happens when Odysseus returns to Ithaca after his long journey, disguised as a beggar. This moment is crucial in the story, as it signals Odysseus' return and the beginning of his reclamation of his home. Some lesser-known myths suggest that Odysseus embarked on minor adventures before the Trojan War. While these tales are not as grand as his later exploits, they add depth to his character. For instance, some traditions link him to the Argonauts, a band of heroes, suggesting he might have joined Jason in the quest for the Golden Fleece, a magical artifact with powerful healing abilities. Although not widely accepted, this story paints a picture of a young hero eager to prove himself. Another story involves a sacred deer belonging to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the wilderness. As a young man, Odysseus reportedly hunted and killed this deer, angering the goddess. To atone, he had to perform rituals and offer sacrifices. This episode reflects a common theme in Greek mythology: youthful hubris followed by divine punishment and eventual redemption. Some myths suggest that Odysseus was mentored by Chiron, the wise centaur who also trained heroes like Achilles and Jason. And if you're wondering, yes, Disney's Phil from Hercules was loosely inspired by Chiron, though I doubt Chiron spent much time yelling, "I'm retired," at young heroes. While not universally accepted, this connection adds an interesting layer to Odysseus's education. Chiron's teachings would have emphasized not just physical prowess, but also intellect and emotional resilience, qualities that defined Odysseus throughout his life. Let's also not forget Odysseus's relationship with Athena. The goddess of wisdom and war strategy is often seen as Odysseus's divine patron. Their bond likely developed over time, with Athena recognizing Odysseus as a mortal who embodied her ideals. He was a warrior of the mind. Athena's favor is evident throughout his life, from her guidance during the Trojan War to her interventions in his long journey home. Athena values intelligence, resilience, and respect for the gods, qualities Odysseus displayed early on. It's possible she observed his cleverness and potential long before he became a hero, subtly guiding him toward greatness. Some even speculate that she had a hand in shaping his destiny from the beginning, though this remains in the realm of myth and interpretation. As a young man, Odysseus inherited the throne of Ithaca. He wasn't just a king in name. He actively worked to improve his kingdom. One story mentions how he oversaw the construction of Ithaca's fleet, ensuring the island could defend itself and thrive through trade. This detail shows a side of Odysseus that often gets overshadowed by his more dramatic adventures, his care for his people, and his capacity for long-term planning. Odysseus's relationship with Argos, his loyal dog, is a poignant yet fleeting glimpse into his life before the Trojan War. Argos, who was more than just a pet, he was a true friend. Argos was trained by Odysseus as a puppy, and the two spent a lot of time together, especially on hunts around the island of Ithaca. Even though the stories don't tell us exactly how Odysseus got Argos, it's clear they shared a special bond. When Odysseus left for the Trojan War, Argos waited for him, staying loyal even as he grew old and weak. In one of the most touching moments of Odysseus's story, Argos recognizes him right away when he finally returns, even though it's been 20 years. The faithful dog wags his tail one last time before peacefully passing away, showing how deep their friendship was. Odysseus's role in the famous Oath of Tyndareus also deserves mention. Before Helen of Sparta, later known as Helen of Troy, who was often regarded as the most beautiful woman in the world, chose Menelaus, the brother of Agamemnon, the leader of the Greek forces during the Trojan War. As her husband, her many suitors created a source of tension. To avoid conflict, Odysseus proposed an oath. All suitors would swear to protect Helen's chosen husband. In exchange for this brilliant solution, Odysseus asked Tyndareus, the king of Sparta and Helen's father, for help in winning Penelope's hand. This episode not only showcases his strategic mind, but also irrevocably ties him to the events leading to the Trojan War. Odysseus's marriage to Penelope is a story of love, strategy, and perhaps a little luck. Penelope was a daughter of Icarius, a Spartan king, and winning her hand wasn't easy. Odysseus competed against other suitors, reportedly in a foot race, and won. But there's more to the story. To convince Icarius to let Penelope leave Sparta and move to Ithaca, Odysseus used his characteristic cleverness. According to legend, when Icarius asked Penelope to choose between staying in Sparta or going with Odysseus, she remained silent. Odysseus interpreted her silence as a sign of loyalty and carried her away in his chariot. Icarius, realizing her choice, relented and blessed their union. Penelope wasn't just a passive figure. She was intelligent, resourceful, and loyal, qualities that mirrored Odysseus himself. Together they had a son, Telemachus. I can't help but wonder if their life in Ithaca might have been idyllic, if only the Trojan War hadn't come knocking. When the call to arms came for the Trojan War, Odysseus was less than eager to leave his family and kingdom. In fact, he tried to avoid going altogether. According to legend, he feigned madness by plowing a field with an ox and a donkey and sowing it with salt. But his ruse was exposed when Palamedes, a prince and hero of the Trojan War, placed baby Telemachus in the path of the plow. To save his son, Odysseus swerved, revealing his sanity. This moment shows Odysseus as a man torn between duty and personal desires, a recurring theme in his life. Even though Odysseus didn't want to go to war, he was determined to survive the challenge. Odysseus quickly proved his worth. He wasn't the strongest or the fiercest warrior, but he was indispensable. His cunning strategies and quick thinking turned the tide in many battles. It was Odysseus who devised the Trojan horse, a plan so audacious it became the stuff of legend. But what if things had been different? What if Odysseus had refused to go to Troy? Would the Greeks have won without his ingenuity? Would the war have ended sooner or dragged on even longer? These questions remind us of the fragile threads that weave history and myth together. Odysseus's involvement was pivotal, but it also came at a great cost to himself, his family, and his kingdom. Odysseus wasn't born a hero. He was shaped by a series of choices, challenges, and circumstances. In many ways, he embodies the idea that greatness is not inherent, but earned through perseverance, ingenuity, and sometimes moral compromise. He wasn't a flawless hero. He was just a man, with all the contradictions and complexities that come with it. These tales remind us that even the greatest heroes have beginnings filled with triumphs, struggles, and lessons that shape their destiny. Time bends, myths endure, and the unknown calls. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching beyond the structure of what you know.
Να ταξιδέψω σπίτι και να δω την αυγή της επιστροφής μου.